The film opens in Birmingham, Alabama, where Dawson Gage works as a talented young architect with a comfortable life and a close bond with his lifelong best friend, London Quinn. Dawson has known London since they were teenagers, and over the years, his feelings for her have grown from friendship into something deeper, though London has consistently resisted taking their relationship beyond friendship. London's parents, Louise and Larry Quinn, have been a second family to Dawson, especially since he lost his own parents at a young age, and they practically raised him alongside their daughter. The dynamic between Dawson and London is comfortable and affectionate, filled with years of shared memories, inside jokes, and unspoken emotions that Dawson has been carrying in his heart. After years of patience and hoping, Dawson finally gathers the courage to tell London how he truly feels, ready to confess that he wants more than friendship. But before he can fully express his romantic intentions, tragedy strikes in the most unexpected and devastating way. London is struck by a truck in a sudden accident that happens so quickly she never even sees it coming. The driver doesn't see her either, and within moments, London is lying on the ground with severe injuries, struggling to breathe as emergency responders rush to the scene. She is rushed to the hospital where doctors work desperately to save her, but her injuries are too catastrophic to overcome. An ER surgeon emerges from the operating room to deliver the heartbreaking news that London has passed away, leaving Dawson, Louise, and Larry completely shattered. The loss is almost unbearable for Dawson, who not only grieves the woman he loved, but also the future they never got to explore together. Louise and Larry are equally devastated, having lost their only daughter in such a senseless and sudden way. The grief that envelops them all is profound and suffocating, made even more painful by the fact that London had been scheduled to donate a kidney to her mother Louise, who suffers from a progressive kidney disease that will eventually claim her life if no donor is found. Now, with London gone, Louise's medical situation becomes even more dire, adding another layer of anguish to an already unbearable situation. In the days following London's passing, as Dawson, Louise, and Larry try to navigate their grief, a secret emerges that changes everything. Louise confesses to Larry and Dawson that there is something they should have told London years ago, something they kept hidden out of fear or uncertainty. Dawson, confused and desperate for any connection to London, asks what she means, and Louise reveals that London was conceived through in vitro fertilization, a fact that London herself never knew. Even more shocking is the revelation that there was another embryo created during the IVF procedure, one that Louise and Larry donated to a fertility doctor they knew, with the agreement that they would never seek information about what happened to it. This means that somewhere in the world, London has a twin sibling, someone who shares her DNA, someone who might look exactly like her, and someone who has been living a completely separate life without any knowledge of London's existence. The revelation stuns Dawson, who sees in this secret a glimmer of hope, a possibility of finding some fragment of London still alive in the world through this unknown sibling. While Louise and Larry made an agreement not to search for the other embryo, Dawson made no such promise, and driven by grief, curiosity, and a desperate need to honor London's memory, he embarks on a mission to find her twin sister. Dawson begins an exhaustive search, making dozens of phone calls, scouring the internet, and following every lead he can find. His determination is fueled not only by his own grief, but also by a desire to give Louise and Larry some measure of peace and closure, and perhaps to find a way to help Louise with her medical crisis. After relentless searching, Dawson finally succeeds in tracking down London's twin sister, a young woman named Andi Allen who lives in Nashville, Tennessee, and works as a zookeeper. Andi has no idea that she was adopted as an embryo, and she has been living a happy, uncomplicated life with her parents, Dr. Jim and Dr. Jenny Allen, who are both doctors and have raised her with love and care. Andi is on the verge of getting engaged to her boyfriend Matt, and everything in her life seems to be falling into place perfectly. Dawson, however, is about to turn her entire world upside down. Dawson travels to Nashville and approaches Andi at the zoo where she works, hoping to gently break the news to her about her biological origins and the existence of the twin sister she never knew she had. However, the encounter does not go as Dawson had hoped. Andi is completely blindsided by this stranger telling her such an outrageous and life-altering story, and she reacts with confusion and disbelief. She has no reason to believe Dawson and thinks the whole encounter is bizarre and unsettling. Deeply disturbed by what he has told her, Andi initially dismisses the information and tries to move on with her life, but the seed of doubt has been planted in her mind, and she cannot stop thinking about Dawson's words. Eventually, she confronts her parents, expecting them to reassure her that Dawson was mistaken or crazy, but instead, Jim and Jenny confirm the truth. They admit that Andi was indeed conceived through IVF using a donated embryo, and that they have been keeping this secret from her for her entire life because they could never find the right time to tell her. The revelation rocks Andi to her core, shattering her sense of identity and making her feel as though her entire life has been built on a lie. She feels betrayed, angry, and lost, unable to reconcile the parents she has known and loved with the people who kept such a fundamental truth from her. In her pain and confusion, Andi makes a drastic decision. She tells her parents that she needs space and leaves Nashville, cutting off communication with Jim and Jenny, and heading to Birmingham to find Dawson and meet the biological parents she never knew existed. Her departure leaves Jim and Jenny heartbroken and worried, but Jim counsels his wife and their younger daughter Amy to give Andi space, to trust in prayer, and to have faith that she will eventually come back to them. Meanwhile, Andi arrives in Birmingham and asks Dawson to introduce her to Larry and Louise Quinn. When Andi walks through the door of the Quinn household, the resemblance to London is so striking that Louise and Larry are momentarily speechless, their grief mingling with a sense of wonder at seeing someone who looks so much like their lost daughter. The meeting is emotional and surreal, but despite the potential for awkwardness, there is an instant connection between them. They share a dinner filled with conversation, stories about London, and even singing, as Larry plays the hymn, "It Is Well With My Soul," and Andi joins in. The Quinns are warm and welcoming, eager to share everything they can about London and to help Andi understand the sister she never got to meet. As Andi spends more time in Birmingham, she and Dawson develop a unique and powerful bond. They talk openly and honestly about their feelings, their grief, and their confusion, and there is a comfort and understanding between them that feels rare and genuine. Dawson becomes Andi's guide to London's life, showing her all the places London loved, sharing memories, and helping her piece together the story of the sister she never knew. For Dawson, being with Andi is both painful and healing. At first, he cannot look into Andi's eyes without seeing London, and the resemblance is almost too much to bear. However, as time goes on, Dawson begins to see Andi for who she truly is, not just as a replacement for London, but as her own person with her own dreams, fears, and personality. The more time they spend together, the more Dawson realizes that his feelings for Andi are growing into something separate from his love for London, something real and undeniable. Andi, for her part, is also drawn to Dawson, finding in him a kind of understanding and connection that she has never felt with anyone else, not even with Matt, her boyfriend back in Nashville. However, Andi's emotional state remains turbulent. She is still deeply angry with Jim and Jenny, refusing to speak to them or return their calls, and she seems determined to replace her adoptive family with her biological family. Louise, Larry, and Dawson all notice this and gently try to encourage her to reconcile with the parents who raised her, reminding her that Jim and Jenny love her deeply and that their decision to keep the secret, while misguided, came from a place of love and fear. Louise, who understands the pain of loss all too well, encourages Andi to forgive her parents and to appreciate the family she has been given. Dawson also urges Andi to think about how her actions are affecting Jim and Jenny, who are suffering in silence while she is enjoying her time with her biological family and falling for him. Despite these encouragements, Andi remains stubborn and hurt, unwilling to let go of her anger. As the days pass, the relationship between Dawson and Andi deepens, and they eventually acknowledge that they have fallen in love. They share passionate kisses and moments of tenderness, and Dawson reassures Andi that his love for her is real, and not just a lingering echo of his feelings for London. He tells her that when he looks at her now, he sees Andi, not London, and that he loves her for who she is. This confession means everything to Andi, who has been struggling with the fear that she is just a substitute, a way for Dawson to hold on to the woman he lost. Their romance, while beautiful, is also complicated by the circumstances of their meeting and the grief that still lingers in both of their hearts. Dawson's friend Carl even points out to him that seeking out Andi so soon after London's passing is unusual and potentially unhealthy, but Dawson is too far gone to listen. Eventually, the weight of her actions and the encouragement from Louise, Larry, and Dawson begin to sink in, and Andi realizes that she has been unfair to Jim and Jenny. She understands that while they made a mistake in keeping the truth from her, they are still her parents in every way that matters, and they have loved her unconditionally for her entire life. Louise's gentle wisdom and Dawson's honest words finally break through Andi's defenses, and she makes the decision to return to Nashville and reconcile with her family. The reunion with Jim and Jenny is emotional and healing, as Andi apologizes for shutting them out, and they apologize for not telling her the truth sooner. Jim's faith and patience are rewarded as his daughter comes back to him, and the family begins the process of rebuilding trust and healing together. Meanwhile, back in Birmingham, there is a sense of bittersweet closure for Louise and Larry. While they cannot bring London back, meeting Andi has given them a sense of peace and a connection to a part of London that still exists in the world. The film also hints at the possibility of Andi being a kidney donor for Louise, though this is handled delicately and is not the central focus of the story. The medical crisis that initially seemed urgent becomes secondary to the emotional journeys of the characters, and the film emphasizes the themes of love, forgiveness, and redemption over medical necessity. In the end, Dawson and Andi's love story is one of healing and second chances. They have both been through profound grief and loss, and they have both had to confront difficult truths about identity, family, and love. Dawson learns that it is possible to love again after loss, and that honoring London's memory does not mean living in the past. Andi learns that identity is not just about biology, but about the people who raise you, love you, and shape who you become. Their relationship, born out of tragedy and grief, becomes a testament to the resilience of the human heart and the possibility of finding love and hope even in the darkest of times. The film closes with a sense of hope and renewal as Dawson and Andi look toward a future together, having both found peace with their pasts and the courage to move forward. The journey has been painful and complicated, but it has also been transformative, teaching them all that love, in its many forms, has the power to heal even the deepest wounds.